ladies, it is awesome to see everybody tonight. We're going to get started because we definitely want to respond to these men from that last video. Why guys aren't always honest with their partners. And I think that we should have a little bit of a discussion on some of this. So let's get into it. So topic number 1, I think is pretty interesting. So how do you feel about it when a woman cheats? It seems that as a man, they believe that they don't want you anymore. Now, when men do it, it's apparently for fun. What do you think about that?
Nah, I don't agree with that. I think that's rubbish, honestly. I feel like if you're gonna cheat, obviously you must have like personal problems, regardless. I don't know. I just feel like they try to make excuses for like why they cheat, and they feel like they can explain why women cheat. Like you don't know what a woman is feeling, so yeah, I think it's rubbish.
Okay,
honestly,
that's fair.
I think it's true. I think that women do cheat, and it's more emotional. And when guys cheat, it's more they're just having fun or trying to see if they still got it. So
interesting. So do you think that men are more emotional cheaters in the sense that they don't see it as a problem to find that satisfaction from another woman somewhere else, rather than dealing with whatever the relationship issue was?
I think men just cheat with anything. Moving, walking, shaking, dancing, whatever, they cheat. But then again, cheating, depending on the situation, then you can say, oh, this person is cheating on me or whatever. If you're in an exclusive, committed relationship, then you could call it cheating if the person is going out or seeing somebody else. But then again, men like to feel like they're, I don't even know what to. I don't know.
You think
what
it's
to
a
call
God complex?
Exactly.
That they have to feel like they
That's a good explanation. But you know what I mean. But then
It's
again,
a God
me
complex.
personally, you're a God, I'm a God.
Oh.
If you're gonna cheat,
like
I'm
your
gonna cheat. If you step out, I'm gonna
If
step
you're
out.
a God,
That's
I'm a
it.
God. Okay, I like that.
That's it on period. Like if you're going to cheat on me, I will cheat on you. I'm with somebody that is way better than you.
Okay, so you're gonna cheat better, basically.
Yeah.
Cheat better.
But
I
men
like
don't
that.
cheat better. They cheat like I don't even know.
Okay.
they get caught.
Well, so then how do you feel about that also on the same vein? You know, men cheat because they believe it's their tendency to do so because they can't help it. So is it a complex you can't help it, or are you such a God that now you actually want to do what all the humans do and just get away with whatever you want because it doesn't matter anymore?
I'll let her go first.
Oh, I think to say something is outside of your control sounds like a mental illness. Because
I love
there
that.
has to be responsibilities. At some point, you have to be able to take accountability for it. But I still think that because we're not a monolith, everybody's not the same, and women are not the same everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's going to be different kinds of men. So it comes to the question, like, if you as a man, this person A, can't control themselves, why can person B do it? Why can guy C and everybody else? So it just makes you look less of somebody with sense. Like you seem senseless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the logical.
I agree.
Yeah, very logical.
Okay, that's fair. So then I guess the question is, on top of that, you know, somebody said last time that cheating is something you can't help, that it's the reality of life. So now knowing that we don't understand that if everybody has the ability to make a conscious decision not to be harmful towards somebody else, then why do we think that cheating is something you can't help? Like why do we see that as something that's just irrevocable, that we should expect to be cheated on, I guess?
I feel like maybe it's because like most people don't have self-control anymore, and they just like look for excuses. But I think it's like a discipline thing, because if you have discipline, you should be able to control yourself. It's that simple. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Self-discipline.
Yeah.
Self-discipline for sure.
Like,
But
tell me more about that. Like, what do you think about self-discipline when it comes to your relationship?
I just think if you know why you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be able to cheat.
Exactly.
That's why. Yeah, because there's so many different kinds of relationship. You can be in an open relationship and it's okay to go out and have fun. But for me, who believes in a relationship being two people, I think you just gotta have that self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be in a relationship with me if you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah.
That's fair.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into my next question. How do we define cheating? Like, what do we define these open relationships are? A lot of terms that people have been passing around are ethically non-monogamous. I've heard it a lot. Ethically non-monogamous. Now people are ethically getting into different relationships with multiple people and saying because they are disciplined enough to do so that they should have the ability to continue. So, what do we define cheating as if everybody is ethically in other relationships with other people?
I mean, I think that just keeps you sane to an extent, not to feel a certain way if your partner is cheating. But then again, you know that, okay, you guys are in this ethically monogamous situation.
Yeah.
So, but if you're not like defining your situation, then I don't know. What are you doing?
I think
If
it's
you're
just
not
the communication.
defining your
Exactly.
situation, right?
Yeah.
I feel like because of that, like a lot of people use that saying, okay, I'll go out and cheat. But you have to know why you're in a relationship. Are you getting married? Are you guys just dating for now? Like, what is it? Yeah. Because some guys, I've spoken to a lot of guys and they'll be like, but she knew we were not serious. But she knows why she's here, She knows I'm married and we're in this relationship. So like, what is it? You gotta know why you're there for you to claim he cheated on me. That's
Exactly.
my point.
Okay. I think that's fair. I
Yeah.
think that's fair. What were you gonna
I
say?
think it's more so about communication.
Yes.
So again, setting that boundary and communicating like this is what we have and this is what we don't have. And I think the success comes from the constant communication. If you have that constant, whether you are monogamous, polygamous, whatever it may be, as long as you communicate like, oh, you know what, babe, I'm going to hang out with this person, this might happen or whatever, whatnot. Just setting those expectations ahead of time so that people are not sitting there assuming. At least give yourself a day. Like if you do something, I like to like give somebody at least a day to like kind of tell me. Because after that day is over, day two, you're already like, I done that.
Oh, it's a time limit.
So
Okay.
it's because you have to ask yourself like, what would you want to know and how long would you want it to be like told to you, Because if I go and have sex with somebody else and then I don't tell you for like 3 months and then I come and tell you one day like, oh man, it happened 3 months ago. I mean, at least I told you, like I told you. So you should be fine. You'll be okay. You'll be good. So I think that's just where the dynamic is like how are we communicating, how often are we communicating, and just a consistency of it, just being consistent as much as possible. And then again, if you're cheating, you're not respecting your partner. So I think it comes in the concept of like love versus respect.
Yeah.
And then when you define that as well for that person, it kind of goes from there.
And I think
I
that's
love that.
extremely true. Like, I think that that's one aspect that a lot of these more modern relationships are missing is that back in the day, we didn't have so much open communication.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to get your point across to your partner. There's so many facets, therapy, couples therapy, all these things you can do before you say, I'm gonna cheat. So the question is, right, do men want to, get away with something that we're telling them they have every resource to avoid? Is there a reason why we're not getting such open communication that now these divorce rates are getting higher, that now people are saying, you know what, we did it. We got married, we got past that part, and we still don't think it's gonna work. Where do we kind of get into that communication field that these marriages are also not working these days,
I think it's, again, just, I don't know, me, I'm all about just saying every little thing. Like, if I wake up in the morning and I had a dream about killing you, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
That's just, I just feel like it's
definitely a Kanye line right there.
No, I'm just like, because one of the things I've learned from like the shows or like the movies I've watched, a lot of things can be assumed from the lack of context or the lack of information. So like if you go to a bar, maybe you hang out with a girl or a girl comes sits next to you and you guys chat for a little bit and somebody happens to take a picture. The least you could do is just go home that same night or whatever, like, oh babe, I was at the bar, like, oh yeah, this lady came up to me, she sat down, we just chatted or whatever, we talked, whatever, that's cool. that allows her to have that information. So like, you know, women are very opportunistic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when they feel like they have some sort of edge, they be like, "Oh, okay, I saw your boyfriend at Dubai and there was a girl next to
Yes.
us." And you're just sitting there like, asshole. But if you already have that information, like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
true.
information beyond that. So
I have
that's
a
why.
question on that.
Yeah.
So it looks like communication is key for you, and if your guy came to you and said, "I cheated last night,"
Mhm.
would you still date them?
I wouldn't, but I appreciate the communication. Because it's like if somebody just wants to have sex with you and not pursue a relationship, and they come to you and it's like, "You're beautiful, we have great conversation. I just want to have sex." You can still take that as like, I mean, thank you. We're not gonna do it. I don't see that with me and you. I'm looking for something more serious. But that communication sets a precedent. It sets the groundwork for like, can we move forward? Because what if I do want to have sex with you and not be a relationship? What if I want to have a relationship afterwards? And maybe things changes. But if you can just communicate your way through things, people would be legitly at this point. But
Yeah.
That's true.
it helps beyond relationships. I also believe.
I think that's awesome. I love that way of framing it because I think that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Why not have an open discussion on the type of relationship we're at before we have to hurt each other's feelings?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if we can't just come from that space of positivity to say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, I hope this works for you. I think that's true. It's just that's very sad because then either way you're just gonna hurt that person by stepping out on them when it could have been a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, now my question to you ladies, have any of you been in an open relationship? Or one that you didn't know was open?
No.
I mean,
No.
I would say yes
Okay.
Oh.
because I mean I was cheating, he was cheating, and we were both cheating, and it was a cheating situation.
So you guys went back and forth.
No, but
Open
but like
relationship.
You just
Yeah,
like,
it was you
he
were
didn't.
just cheating.
I didn't know he was cheating at some point. And then when I found out, I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I was already cheating, but like, I'm like,
I kinda like
oh
it.
yeah,
I
I'm
kinda
gonna
like
keep
it.
going with what I'm doing. Like,
It's a bit of an Uno reverse.
like yeah.
Did he ever find out you were?
But did he find
Nope.
out?
But I found out it was, and I told him,
Guess
and
we'll
I'm
find
like,
out now.
And I think of it that way, right? Like, as women, do you feel like we have some type of intuition that this is why we talk about cheating like this? Because we know that for us, we can just figure that out. Sometimes you don't gotta dig into your man's phone.
You didn't know.
Sometimes you know, some people are just sending you pictures, videos, dropping hints. Sometimes God is like, "Oh, did you know that red flag? I saw that." Ooh,
I dreamt about it.
You dreamt about it.
Yes.
I always think that's so funny, right? Like, we imagine you have a dream and then you break up with your man the next day, and then he doesn't realize that it's because somehow, somewhere, you knew he was doing something
Yeah.
wrong.
I mean,
don't
I've
think-
learned to trust my intuition
Okay.
because, like, 9 times out of 10 is always right. So I think it's like a gift God gave us because He knew that men were just gonna come here and just.
I don't
Let's
think I have that.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, and also, I that's a good way to get into that next question, right? Is cheating? Is women cheating different from men?
yes.
Is it, you know, I think that for women, you emotionally step out of the relationship way before you physically leave the relationship.
I believe that.
You know, what do you think about that?
Yes.
Is it the case that you feel like you would step away from the relationship emotionally before you would step away physically?
Yes, definitely. For women first, because women are emotional as it is. So everything we do is emotional. So when we cheat, it's emotional. Everything we do is emotional, which is great. But for men, it's not, you know. And the other thing I wanted to add is, you know, social media is like such a huge thing these days for cheating. Like, you know, there's just so much. If you keep your environment like simple to where you're not checking other girls online and stuff like that, I think it's easier to not cheat for men because men cheat by looking, you know,
Yeah,
like if
visual,
they look at you,
visual.
they'll
Okay.
cheat. There's so many times where, you know, I post something on Instagram and all these guys from 1955 are like hitting me up. I'm like, what? So they're like triggered by look, like by vision, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I feel like men cheat visually versus women cheat emotionally.
You know, I actually like that you said that because I always ask that question, right? Do you feel like you would change your appearance if that meant keeping your man? If that meant that he would not cheat on you, if that meant that you could somehow fix it by changing yourself or asking him to change something physical about their parents, like, you know,
No.
would
I
that
don't
be
think
weird?
that's a good idea. Like any change that you're gonna take, like with your parents, it should be for you.
Exactly.
Like you don't want to change yourself for somebody else because then it's just fake. Like what's the point of that? You're not even gonna be happy. So.
But
Yeah.
are most women changing it for the man, or are they changing it to compete with
Other
other
women. That's
Ah.
what I feel.
I feel like women are more concerned with how like
The
other women look than
Yes,
like doing
and
it
what
for
you like.
personally.
That's true. That's true. So then I don't know. I think that's a good question of side chick behavior, of main chick behavior. Why is there a difference between side and main? You know, I've heard some people describe it as, oh, well, she gives me whatever I want and dresses however I like, even though I have somebody here who cares about me, who probably would do
I
that.
don't know about
But
that.
now at the same time is going to come through and change their appearance because it works for me and works for our situation now.
Yeah.
So I always ask that, you know, what's the difference between having the side chick with the BBL or your wife with the BBL? You know, what changes that?
I think there's no difference. Personally, because I don't even know how to put out the words. Because like men, they like you. I think communication too is also an issue because like if you like something, I feel like whoever you have, let's say you're married, your wife, you need to be able to communicate.
Right.
Your wife secretly, she might want to have that BBL and have that nice booty.
Because maybe
and
she
have that
wants the
nice
boob job
boobs
and the BBLs
all
and
that,
all
but you're not
that. and the
communicating with her.
filter.
You're not talking to her. You're talking to the other
They'll
women
never
outside.
communicate.
You're not looking at what is inside because you feel like, oh, this is outdated for me, and this is what I'm saying. This is what I want. I must get it. You know, you just want to like. I don't know. Men are like. They're just something else.
It's true.
No, because it's true. Like there are men that will literally pay for another woman's BBL.
They will.
You
they
have
will,
your
they
wife
will
at home.
send you $5,000, $10,000. Say, go to the DR, baby. Do what you got to do, and come back with a whole new body. You know. So I just always ask that, right? What's the difference between?
I don't think there's a difference.
Isn't
I
that
don't
the,
think
isn't that the
Because
case?
it's just
no
who your
difference.
attention is at the time.
Yeah.
Because if I meet you and I like you, and then I meet somebody else maybe 3 years later and I like them and I want to juggle between them, y'all are both main at that point. Because I main Monday through Friday
I
and
know,
Saturday and Sunday.
That
There's
is
no
right.
such. I don't think.
So
that
we're
idea
having a
of side
5-course
chick-
meal.
Because I think it is that we're trying to find what we don't have in somebody else. Like you find somebody, they probably have like 80% of what you're looking for, and then you find somebody who has 20%, but not that 80%, or maybe like 30%, whatever you're looking for, and you want to juggle them. By all means, juggle them. You know, do your thing. If you can afford it, afford it. But again, it's just about that communication.
true.
Like, hey, babe, I want to pay for the BBL of the girl next door. Like, I really like her.
Yeah.
I want to pursue that. By all means, pursue that. And then if she wants to pursue her side man or her other guy or whoever her new attention is on, they can do that. Maybe I'll have a double date, see if you guys can make a video out of it. It's just about compromise. It's about understanding each other and communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Because the respect comes from that communication.
Exactly.
So
Well,
I don't think side chicks
how do you
main
guys
chicks are
feel
like
about how these structures have become popularized on these shows like Love and Hip Hop and, you know, Black Ink and all these other different
Yeah.
shows, right? And now we're popularizing the concept of triads, of threesomes, of having more than one partner who maybe graduated from that side chick
Like-
position to
Yeah.
the
I
additional
didn't know
main.
that.
Okay.
I mean, like she said, it's all about communication. If you guys agree, everyone, like you guys are all adults. You can do whatever you want.
This is true.
As far as the three of them agree, you can do whatever you want. I'm not opposed to that.
I think it's the fear that if I do communicate with you that I want a side chick or I
Yeah.
want her, you're gonna leave. So it takes away from that equation that I'm trying to have in my mind.
True.
And then also the feeling of like, oh babe, I'm about to go to the store, and then you go visit her, enjoy yourself, laugh, have fun.
Not you got her milk and never
And
came
then,
back.
and then come home and laugh or whatever. You have the best of both worlds, so you get to have that responsibility of a wife,
Yeah.
and then you get that freedom of somebody who's not attached to you, who's doing their own thing, and you can kind of like chase them. It's just about what people fear, like their fear of missing out. Like if she does leave, I'm gonna miss her, and I really don't want to be with this person for the rest of my life, or maybe I do want to be. Like it's just that fear. So I think that's where the lack of communication is. Because I mean, we're gonna stress communication till we die, but that is also something that people process in their head, like, oh, I mean, I would tell her, but she's gonna leave, and if she leaves, I'm gonna be sad, and I don't want her to leave. So, and they're like, oh, I love you. Yeah, whatever. I didn't.
I'm done. I love that. I think that's refreshing. I think that what we've really figured out is that it's just the truth. It's that as women, we just want a level of communication. We need a level of respect.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what type of relationship we're in. We need that communication because we can't go into your head. We can't guess what you like from me, from the other girl, what attracts you without having some type of discussion about it. And I love that because I think that as women, not every woman really broaches the next relationship knowing these are questions you should ask. You know, how many times have you been in a relationship and asked some of these questions and said, you know, do you respect monogamy in my relationship? Do you want?
I feel like that's what you should ask before getting into the relationship.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people overlook that. I always remember to ask you, like,
You
what
know,
do you
people
want?
always overlook.
What do you
But
think
no.
about this?
But then with the response, be truthful.
It doesn't matter. It's your words.
It's your
I
word.
mean,
I'm
exactly.
gonna take you as your word
Because
until you-
later
I'll
I
take your
can
word
say,
until
I
the
asked you
reactions.
this,
Yeah.
and this is what you said.
Yeah.
So
So
you
now I'm
can't.
leaving.
Yeah, exactly. So
And is it like, so in these situations, can girls have more than one
that's the,
man? You
Of
know what I
course.
mean? Because
Yeah,
we
And that's the
gotta-
reverse coin of it.
Yeah.
We just talked
I don't think
about
they're
the
ever
fact
okay with it.
that, you know, as women we're emotional,
Yeah.
and so we react emotionally. So the question I asked is, you know, what if you had the option and said, I want 2 husbands, I want 2 boyfriends,
You know,
and honey, you're gonna live with that. You're gonna take it because I can do it and you can do it.
Exactly.
So let's make it work together.
I'm against the idea that we're emotional because being angry is
Thank you.
emotional.
I was gonna say
Being
that.
sad is an emotion. Being melancholy is emotional.
Yep.
So we're all emotional beings
Yeah.
and women. I don't think we're very different as people like to persuade themselves
Yeah.
that we are.
Exactly.
It's just about how we react to different situations.
Mm.
So all of us are emotional, so we deal with things differently, you know, and because of that, the idea of like having 2 spouses or having 3, whatever you want to do, again, is just based on the respect of it. And I like to like remember, for me, it's like 3 R's: respect, reciprocation, and reception. So if you respect me, do you reciprocate the same that I reciprocate to you? And then are you receiving what I'm saying? Like if I tell you something and I say I don't like this and you sit here and want to have a 5-minute argument with me, we can have that discussion, definitely, but it's the afterthought. It's the afterward, the like, okay, you know what, you said you don't like this, let me see how I can work through that. And if it doesn't work for you, then maybe we can look at it somewhere else. I think people hate being the first one to make that change or being the first one to have something point at you and say like, oh, you did this wrong. But if I come to you like, oh babe, I don't like this, and you're like, you know what, you're right, let me see if I can do better. And if maybe 5 months down the line you actually don't like that, you want to revisit the conversation, by all means, just revisit the conversation, because again, this is me and you, and we're working to figure that out together. So we're setting ourselves to those boundaries, those responsibilities, and those accountabilities. And once you get that ironed out, you honestly at that point you should be good.
Yeah.
Get a contract set up.
I like that. I think that that's worth repeating. You said respect, reciprocation,
and reception.
and
The 3
reception.
R's.
That's beautiful. The 3 R's.
I need to
You
remember.
know, ladies, as we wrap up, I just wanted to just kind of get your thoughts on that. You know, I think that it's the case that we all understand what it takes to be in a relationship. Sometimes the actual activity of it, but you know, that could be a little bit of a stumble.
Yeah.
So what would you tell a woman in that situation? You know, we all feel empowered to know that we can see and have these conversations before relationships. But you know, I just want to hear from each of you. You know, we can all go down the line in our last 5 minutes here and just discuss, you know, what would you tell a woman to empower her in a situation where she feels like she's being, you know, disrespected, not communicated with, not being reciprocated with? What would you tell her?
I think if you're getting any kind of relationship, you should know why you're there for. And whatever you do it for you. If you're going to get a BBL, that's for you, not because the man said, oh, do it, you know? If you're going to, and I hear this from a lot of girls. Oh, he says he doesn't like makeup, he doesn't like this. But guess what? Tomorrow you're going to go to downtown to an event, and he'll be there looking at beautiful girls with lashes and whatever. He's over there and he's like, damn. But you're over there coming out with no makeup, nothing, just because of a man. You have to know why you're there. And even when things start to rise up, like issues, you know what you want. And if you're not getting that, get out. Get out. Sure. No one's forcing you.
Awesome. What would you say?
For me, as cliche as it sounds, you should just work on yourself and just do you, and the right person will come around. That's about it.
Yes.
I like that. That's beautiful. What would you say to her?
What she said about like establishing yourself, your personality, who you are as a woman, having your shit together. You should making money for yourself before you even go into anything called a relationship. And if you're already in one, try to build yourself while you're there. Because these men, they will use you, leave you, and dump you.
I would love to hear more from this girl.
And
that's because I've seen it happen.
Over and over.
A lot.
Not like over, like personally, I've seen it happen in my family, to my mom. And so so I would say like,
we could get into a whole other topic.
So I would say like it's very important in this day and age where we're in, like as a woman you need to figure out yourself, your personality, who you are, and also make sure you make some money, and that's it.
Awesome. And then what's your last one? Both of you.
If she feels like she's not respected, to me, respect like trust is earned. And my mom says if you act like a worm, people will step on you. So if you're not getting the respect, I mean, you need to respect yourself enough to know what's good for you. Like, you can't stay there and wait for a man to respect you. I mean,
that's true.
Know yourself, know who you are.
Know when to leave.
Yeah.
I think just because it's beyond just men and women are getting into relationships with other women as well. And men are getting into relationships with men. So I think when you're making a decision, make a decision for yourself. But if it requires both of you coming to that consensus together, be open to compromising, not just for yourself and for him. And I think it's about knowing if you are a good person. In the sense that, like, if you're killing 4 or 5 people, you're probably not a good person. But just analyzing yourself for you and saying that, would you date yourself? Like, would you date you in this current stage of your life and this current person that you are, this version of yourself that you're providing to somebody else? Would you date that person? And if your answer is, I will, and you see yourself for who you are, then by all means do that. But be sure to, again, have your life together, or try to have your life together to an extent. You're coming into, you're merging with each other, so y'all should have, each and everyone have their own stuff. So
all right. I'd like to know what you think, actually.
So I'm definitely the burn everything down type. So I'm definitely one of those. I have had friends in different relationships as somebody who's watched friends go through divorces and be cheated on. I'm always the friend who's going to tell you to leave. I am going to help you pack up. I'm going to make sure you drain the bank account. I'm going to make sure that we already changed the addresses for all the major bills. We're hiding the remote batteries everywhere.
My gosh.
You had a favorite shirt. It's gone now. It's gone. But also, I love women. I think that the respect, the communication, the amount of effort a lot of women put into the relationship should be respected. And that even if it's the case that you have a different type of relationship, it still should be respected. There are rules to everything. There are boundaries. There's a reason why people get STD tests. Don't put somebody in a position you wouldn't want to put yourself in. That's it. So awesome, ladies. I appreciate you guys all. I think that was fantastic. I think that concludes our discussion today about this topic, but also I hope that you do reflect on this and, of course, take these gems out into your community and make sure that you are reaching out to those women who don't feel like they're getting respected, reciprocated, or having the ability to actually get what was the last one?
Reception.
Exactly.
All right, guys. That was great.
Jesus.
So, wait. So, we're